In today's video, we're going to be having a conversation about 151 and if it was short printed, as we've been hearing some people discuss about around the internet. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you to do so each and every week. We also have Twitter giveaways we're doing constantly, so I'd highly recommend you join us by following. And lastly, as always, the two links that I am constantly saying you need to take advantage of is, if you haven't done so already, make sure to check out if we ever have spots available for our Patreon wholesale access tiers. Usually we're sold out, but every so often we have a spot open up to get access to Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Flesh and Blood, and so much more at wholesale level prices. Then outside of that, Discord is the place to be if you want to stay up to date on all things PokemartUSA related news and content. But jumping into today's video, ladies and gentlemen, so it's going to be a conversation about 151. Now, there has been some conversation, as mentioned before, where allocations are not looking too pretty for a lot of the storefronts. Everyone seems to be kind of panicking. Is this short printed? Is this the new norm? Etc., etc., right? And I'm here to give my kind of personal thoughts, opinions, as well as share my own allocation numbers from what I got for 151 and was notified just recently, like a couple days ago, I got my numbers. So I do not think that it is short printed, but I do not think that this is the quote unquote new norm. And what I more or less mean by that is, yes, the numbers were less than anticipated. However, I think that this has less to do with the fact that it was a short printed set and more to do with the fact that this is a set that's going to have multiple different waves. Now, multiple different waves might be seen in the context of, oh, we get a second wave, everyone's going to get their second round of allocations. No. What I mean by that is the Pokemon company is going to drop their initial product, and then I'm going to get a call at some point from my distributor from time to time saying, hey, Eli, I've got X product available from 151 available. Can you pick some up? A perfect example of this happening for the last specialty set, Crown Zenith. You guys know those Morpeko V Union boxes? And why they're at wholesale prices? Because that's exactly what happened. It was a set that was at first heavily allocated. It did not seem to be as if there was going to be this massive wave of the Morpeko boxes. It gets released and they get absolutely dumped. And by that I mean distros with these Morpeko V Union boxes. We've seen this obviously with some of the other items, where most recently the bird tins have just finally started to go out of stock on some distro pages, and so on and so forth, depending upon obviously which distributor that we're kind of referencing. So it became something where it felt like Crown Zenith was going to be a set that, you know, initially wasn't going to be heavily printed based on just some of the allocations that people were having conversations about, but ultimately ended up getting more supply based on the fact that the print was just delayed and it didn't all come out at once. Not to mention as well, the set released the product within waves in and of itself. It wasn't like, oh, we get the initial release for Elite Trainer boxes and all the other products. It was, no, we got in May these Aeon Zamazenta figure collections. We got the Morpekos, I think it was in March, if I'm correct. I can't remember if it was March or February, but you guys get the point. It was a new Crown Zenith product each and every month. And so although it's not going to be exactly the same, like with 151, all the product is still not going to be initially released. And so I could see something extremely similar happening when it comes to when each product gets their own initial releases. Now, with this all being said, we also have to look at the other factors at play. Crown Zenith product is sitting on shelves at Targets and Walmarts. I know some places locally are getting scalped constantly depending upon where you live, but I'll tell you what, I can go right now into my local Target store and I find an absolute crap ton of it just sitting on shelves. Back at where my storefront is in Oregon, it's a crap ton of Crown Zeniths sitting on shelves. I've heard nothing but other people in the Pokemon sphere and other people in the community say that they tend to find a lot of it sitting on shelves because no one wants to pay the price of $55 for a Crown Zenith ETB, or typically the $5 above MSRP charge of what is selling for online. And that's kind of the expectation that I honestly believe will happen for 151, even if we don't get that, initial, second wave, more supply to come outside of what's going to come with the first wave of release in mid to late September. So, and we also have to think about this too, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been talking about this and I've been preaching to the choir, hopefully, when it comes to my recommendations on the strategies you should take with 151. And that is, this set comes out, if I'm correct, on September 22nd. You can correct me if I'm wrong. What comes out almost exactly 2 months thereafter, it's going to be Black Friday. And this is a set that's going to be heavily pushed in big box retail stores. Since it is a specialty set and it's not going to have booster boxes, you're going to see it on shelves. And more than likely, you're going to see flash sales of it and you're going to want to take advantage. So I am not too concerned. I don't think prices are going to be absolutely crazy for this specific item. I mean, I was just checking it out not too long ago, looking at the price for the 151 Ultra Premium Collection, and when it was first being released and people were looking at it, it was selling for roughly around $200 if I'm correct. And I think right now, last time I checked, it was selling for, on pre-sale, $121 roughly. I mean, I could be wrong. I can go quickly check that right now while we're having this conversation. But for it to be already selling at the MSRP price point, it just doesn't really concern me that it's going to be a problem. I'm looking right now. It looks as if it's actually 127 is what it's selling for currently on TCG Player as we're speaking. So are you one of those people that's going to be concerned like we saw with the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection where it was selling for $400 and should I wait? I mean, it's at MSRP right now, and honestly wouldn't surprise me if we saw the same thing happen with the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. But I'm going to get into numbers now. We'll have this conversation on what we're kind of expecting here. So for those of you that did not see my video, just as a reference for Obsidian Flames, so I gave my numbers for Obsidian Flames on how many boxes I got compared to Paldea. So booster box wise, we got roughly around 400, and booster boxes this time around, we're going to get roughly around 800 for the go around of Obsidian Flames. Elite Trainer boxes, I just got my numbers for those as well. We are going to get roughly around 750 Elite Trainer boxes. Take this number into consideration, right? I got booster boxes, 800, and I got 750 Elite Trainer boxes. Obsidian Flames, a booster box set. Booster boxes are obviously, they cost money. That's the main selling point of these booster box sets. Versus specialty sets, it's Elite Trainer boxes. They're the main selling point, right? I got roughly around 700 booster Elite Trainer boxes for this go around with 151. So not only did I get less than what I got for Obsidian Flames, I also got less without having any booster boxes because it's a specialty set. So it hurts twice as hard in terms of the overall numbers. Now, obviously, we didn't get booster boxes, so we got a specialty Ultra Premium Collection item. And depending upon how you want to look at this, we either got a small amount or a decent amount, whichever way you want to look at it. But I got 60% less than what I was anticipating, right? So I only got about 40% of what I ordered. We got roughly around a little bit over 5,000 of the Ultra Premium collections. Now, for some people, they're like, that's a lot, Eli, 5,000. But for me, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. And it's extremely frustrating because, supplementally speaking, going back to it once again, the prices of these Ultra Premium collections and what we're going to be buying for at wholesale prices, it's $75. Equivalently speaking, $95.50 is the price for the booster boxes. So the margins, equivalently between the two are roughly around the same. So I look at that as, comparing it to as if I got booster boxes instead I got ultra premiums. And by that same metric, I got 300 less. Now, you might be saying, Eli, is it because you're spend? Is it because it's short? What is this? What's causing it so that you're getting so much drastically less? Well, I can tell you guys, it has nothing to do with us not having a ton of spend, because we're with some of our distributors, some of the largest accounts one of the largest accounts in the Southwest. So it has nothing to do with that. I can tell you that for certain. It has solely to do with the fact that the overall supply for this product, once again, was just not a ton available this first go around. And we can sit here and say, oh, well, there's other ancillary products like booster bundles. I ordered 5,000 booster bundles and got 30. You did not get a ton of booster bundles. You did not get a ton of booster bundles for the overall numbers. And it's funny to say, because when you were like, man, why did I get gypped? And then you hear that you were one of the top allocated accounts and you're like, oh, well, maybe it has nothing to do with me being gypped. There's just not a ton of 151 this go around. Then it just makes you realize that, okay, this specialty set, they're just not going to be bringing out a ton for the first initial wave like they did with Obsidian. Now, you can have your speculations as to why, right? You can say to yourself, maybe it's because, and we have to think of this all from a printer capacity perspective, right? So we just got Lost Origin and Silver Tempest booster box reprints, and there was quite a bit of it that was reprinted. Like I said before in my last video, we purchased roughly around $100,000 worth of Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, and Scarlet and Violet booster boxes within this past 2 weeks, right? We did it over a 3-day period, but we progressively continued to buy more. And with that, it's something where that's gonna take up a lot of printing press time for the Pokemon Company with their Millennium Print Group contracts to continuously keep up to the demand and expectations of 151. So it makes sense to me, this is once again all hypothetical, this is just me speculating a little bit, that they would do something like this because of the room they had to make for these booster boxes. Now, I could be 100% wrong. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This could have been something they did 6 months ago, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't know the knowings of the behind the scenes of how the Pokemon Company operates its prints. But it just makes sense to me because it lines up with this print happening around the same time of Obsidian Flames, making sense that all of these products would be specifically printed around the same time, and then thereof pushing back a little bit of the timeline when it comes to the 151 product to later in the year after the set release, and we start to see a flood of the product become available. So ultimately, at the end of the day, when having the final conversation of 151, is it a set that is underprinted? Is it a set that's printed appropriately? And should you really worry about it or panic? I don't think you should be worried about it whatsoever. I think this is a set that, as it stands right now, obviously the numbers are looking grim, but I don't anticipate it to be a problem for the specific everyday consumer investor, because this is going to happen right around the time of Black Friday. So you're going to see flash sale discounted prices on these items. This is also as well something very similar that happened with Crown Zenith, and people were getting scared of it being quote unquote short printed. Come to find out, the product became plentifully available. We're seeing it sit on big box retailer shelves for MSRP, so there's a ton of opportunity. Heck, when the set was released, you were able to pick it up for $40 for the longest time. I mean, now it's like, I think the cheapest is like $55-$60 online. You can find it for cheaper in stores, and it's, if that tells you anything. So the opportunity for Crown Zenith was not of concern, and obviously with the Ultra Premium Collection Mew starting at $200 now down to $127 on TCG Player, the price of this is going to drop once the release comes out, probably to the low 100s, maybe sub 100 like we saw with the CUBC, especially if this becomes a multiple wave item. I'm not really too concerned, and I don't think you should be either. Patience is once again going to be the name of the game, because like with the Charizard Ultra Premiums, when they also got released, they were an item that started off at $400 on pre-sale and then went down to as low as $80 a pop. So to say, oh, I should be concerned, you definitely would be surprised on the amount of opportunities that will present themselves if you just wait a little bit, because the Pokemon Company is here to print that product once again into the ground, as they do with most ultra premium collections. But as far as it goes, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today's video. I want to thank you guys all once again so much for watching. As always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We also do Twitter giveaways. Make sure to give us a follow and retweet the times in which we have the post pertaining to the giveaway. And then outside of that, the two most important things I always mention, you guys got to check out the Patreon. We have our spots available to get access to our wholesale tier pricing for Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, and so much more. And Discord is the place to be if you want to stay up to date on all things PokemartUSA. And the links, as always, are down in the description below. But thank you all once again so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Thursday's live. Peace.